Don't put that Hey, adventurers. Welcome to Let's Just Go podcast. I'm Chris.
And I'm Kayla. And today we're talking about the fact that I'm getting ready to go on vacation in like 3 days and the things that I'm packing for said vacation, because it's a trip to Europe for 2 weeks in the winter. And it's a very specific itinerary going to Christmas markets. And so there are very specific things that I am packing that I just, want to keep top of mind for you. If maybe you've never been to Europe, maybe you're going on a winter vacation yourself and there are things that you just haven't thought about, I just want to give you some food for thought.
I love it.
That's all.
I love it. And you're going to be the Christmas markets are outdoors. So
yes, correct.
You're going to be outside in the elements.
I will say, so last night, my partner, Brian, and I went to the Philadelphia Christmas market, singular. It feels like it's markets because they're like, you walk through a building and then you're at the next part of it. And then you walk through another building, you're at the next part of it. And then we also went and looked at some Christmas lights. And it was colder last night than it is projected to be for the entirety, like every destination we're going to. Oh, I mean, obviously weather can change dramatically in 2 weeks. But I've been obsessively watching the weather. So last night's feels like was in the low 20s. And it's been in the 40s and 50s during the day. And then 40s and 30s at night in all the destinations we're going to. So I'm not packing for coldest weather. That's actually the hard part. And I think that this is something that's really important about packing for weather that you're not used to is layers. You have to make sure that you're thinking through worst case and best case. Because for me, I have some really heavy jackets. I'm not packing any of them because I have realized that if I pack my heaviest coat, I'm going to be dying. I'm going to be dripping with sweat and miserable. Where if I take a coat that I have that is a little bit breathable, but still poofy, it's a lot better for me. Last night, I was fine. I was I'm a little bit cold, but it's not awful. Versus, I think if I had a heavier coat, I would be absolutely miserable.
I bought this sweatshirt. I bought this. Maybe you'll get some nice Helly Hansen store in the Helly Hansen store in Budapest on my river cruise.
I used to buy Helen Hansen stuff when I worked at Disney because you'd get 40% off at specific times of the year. And in Norway, there's a whole section at Epcot. So you would stock up on things.
So I agree, though. It's similar to going when I went to Alaska, right? Because you're going to be moving, you're shaking, you're doing adventurous things. So it's like when you go sledding, you're ugh. You're freezing in the beginning and then you're sweating in the middle and then you're right. I mean, because you're going back up the hill, but it's rough. And I think the other tricky part is those big jackets take up a lot of space.
So much space. So that's actually a very good point. So I have a coat that I'm going to wear on the plane on Monday when I leave that I'll just, put somewhere, maybe use it as a pillow. I don't know. But I've got that jacket. And then I'm also taking a Uniqlo jacket. Uniqlo is a brand, if you've never heard of it, and they have these really thin quilt puffer jackets, but they're really nice because they are a good weight. They're not heavy, but they'll keep you warm enough. And they come with a bag attached to them, inside the pocket that you literally just stuff it into. So I'm going to throw that in my bag as well. So I'll have 2 coats with me that are varying weights so that I can layer a little better. They're also different colors because I've got blue and I've got black because you have to have variety, thinking the fashion in me.
I mean, the good news for you is similar to what I just shared. You're going to be in populated places that should you need to, in an emergency, purchase something or something gets ruined, you're going to be able to, your only jacket you brought is now ruined. You have options.
Oh yeah, many, many options. So just to give an overview of where I'm going, we're flying into Zurich. We're taking the train to Basel. We're taking a river cruise from Basel to Amsterdam, and then we're also going to Paris. So yeah, we're going to be in very popular. We're not going to be like middle of nowhere. Nobody speaks English, and I'm screwed. Like we should be good everywhere that we are, thankfully. But I also was going to pack like winter boots, but I've realized that again, I'm going to be way too warm in winter boots. They take up so much space. So instead, I'm taking my regular, I have a pair of very old Brooks walking shoes. Like they were my running shoes, and now they're my walking shoes with my prescription orthotics in them
Ooh,
because
so
I'm
sexy.
elderly. And then I'm taking one slightly nicer pair of shoes with me to wear. Like we're planning on going to a cabaret one night in Paris, and I want to make sure that I have a like nice enough outfit that people aren't going to be like, "What is that American doing? Ew, why is she wearing that?"
Nice.
Yeah, we can hope that I trick them well enough. But I figure if I need boots, I can get boots.
Yeah.
And we're very intentionally bringing like the least amount of stuff possible so that we can get things. We also, I don't know if you still have yours, but the Adventures by Disney trip that we did years ago, they gave us a fun little fold up duffel bag. I take that fucker with me everywhere I go because you never know when you're going to need it. It's not a very big duffel bag. It's
Mm-mm.
like my computer probably fits in it, like size wise.
No, I use it as my gym bag, like just
Yeah.
like a quick one outfit in there, and yeah.
Hmm.
But that's good because that's then you can check that and
Exactly. Yeah, that's the plan. So if we need to, we'll see what happens. But that's what we did when we went a couple of years ago too to Europe, was that we took that with us in case we needed it. It's easy enough to just like throw clothes into, you know. So we've got that. We're also taking a like hiking backpack, so really small. It's not super small, but it's also not like a giant. Like we have big backpacks that we're taking as like our personal items on the plane. And this backpack is we used it the last time we went to Europe as well. It's really good for like using in place of a shopping bag. So like you buy something, you're just throwing it in. The nice thing about this backpack specifically, it's an REI brand. Um, the it's really hard to open and close. Like every time we go to use it, we forget how you open and close it, and it's like a learning curve. So it's it would be hard to steal from us because you have to know how to open the damn bag.
nice. Well, and you're going. There'll be guides from the ship, the river cruise
Yeah.
company with you at all times, and so you'll feel like you won't need a ton of stuff like water. All of a sudden, there's water
Yeah.
bottles showing up for you, right?
Yeah.
Because of how you're doing this.
Hmm. Yeah. But there are things like we're taking reusable utensils so that we're not constant. I do the same thing when I go to Disney for like Food and Wine Festival. I like to take reusable utensils because I hate just like constantly grabbing a new plastic fork, you know? So I've got that and it like wraps up into a nice little container that can just get thrown in the bag. And I take wipes with me. Like Target has this specific brand, and they're both like hand wipes and face wipes. They're great. I love them. I'm not usually like a disposable things person, but sensory issues for me. If my hands are like sticky or at, I know that I've touched something gross, like I need to have the ability to physically wipe something off of me.
And that's good, like on the plane, right? If your seat's disgusting,
Hmm.
I mean, you're
Exactly.
or to freshen up mid-flight, you're doing a long flight,
Hmm.
and you're spending a lot of money. So sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes convenience has to win out in that case, in these more unique
Hmm.
situations.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I've got those. I also have Kleenex because when it's cold, my nose runs like crazy. Like yesterday I didn't have any Kleenex on me, and we were walking around for hours outside, and I was just like, oh, it was absolutely awful. That being said, I have Kleenex that I'm taking with me. Also, not all bathrooms have toilet paper in them, so another reason to have Kleenex on you. I also have a couple of random euros from our last trip that I was like, "Oh, thank God, if I have to use the bathroom, I don't have to worry about like instantly making change as soon as I get there." Because if you didn't know, most bathrooms in Europe, you have to pay to enter. And I mean, like, there's usually an attendant and like they're pretty clean, which is really nice. But it's usually like €1 in order to go to the bathroom, if not €2. So I'm glad that I randomly found some euros that are already packed for me.
That in the change form, in coin form, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So euros are like Canadian dollars, where their 1 and 2 are coins.
right.
And then 5 is when it starts being paper. They don't call them oneies and toonies, though. Did you know that's what they call them in Canada?
I did know that.
Okay. I didn't know if like people not right next to the
Close to
border knew
Canada.
that or
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
we're pretty close. You can get to Canada in 6 hours from here.
Yeah.
Um, the okay, so you have what other you're bringing layers. You've got your
Bringing layers.
comfort things,
Hmm.
right? What about your toiletries? Did you? I mean, you're going for almost 2 weeks. So what is your plan with that?
Yeah.
Because they got to be small, but do you just have 8 small bottles of mouthwash? Like, what's happening?
No. So I'm like really proud of myself for this. And I would like to thank my neurodivergence for finally getting me to do it. And that is, I have toiletries pre-packed. I do not worry about it. They are already ready. I literally just have to take whatever bag and put it in my bag. So like my shampoo, my conditioner, body wash, toothpaste, like all of that. I like rotate them out from like what I'm using day to day. So like we actually use toothpaste tablets just every day. We don't use like tubed toothpaste. So I will just like rotate out my travel pack of toothpaste when I run out in our bathroom and so on and so forth. So I have all of that stuff already ready, which is great. I'm also like my fingernails bother me a lot, so I have like nice nail clippers, cuticle cutters, a nail file, like the things that you don't think about potentially needing.
Right.
I make sure that I have those. I have eye drops because my eyes get dry. I have chronic dry eyes, so it's like all of the time. Yeah, you didn't know that about. That's why I blink so much.
You, know,
Yeah.
you sound terrible to travel with.
I also keep, Dr. Bronner's, the like liquid soap. It's Castile soap. So I take that with me too. And that way, if I need to do laundry, I've got that. Like if I need to just like wash something in like the sink, I've got it. I can use it as hand soap if I need to. I can wash my reusable cutlery with it or my water bottle, any of those things, which is really nice that it's just this like multi use soap.
All right. And then what about like first aid, anything?
So I always get sick on vacation because of who I am as a person. We've talked about it before. So I try to make sure that I take as many different types of medication with me as possible. Again, knowing that like a pharmacy is easily accessible. And if we're being honest, European pharmacies are way better than American pharmacies. But I'm taking like Tylenol, aspirin, Aleve, ibuprofen. I've got like Dayquil pills, Mucinex, like anything I might need. I've got some cough drops, just ready. And then I've also got like my prescriptions that'll go in my carry on. Do not put your prescriptions in your checked bag. The last thing you want to do is be lost. I also made sure I had enough of my prescription before leaving, and I didn't. And I had to reach out to my doctor and say, hi, my prescription's not supposed to be renewed until January, but I'm going to run out before I get back. Help. And they sent a new prescription over to my pharmacy. So make sure that you're giving yourself enough time to count out your pills and make sure that you'll have enough and talk to your doctor if you need to. For me, it was just if your doctor uses my chart, I just sent a my chart message, said it was about a prescription, told them what it was. They took over it. I didn't have to talk to anyone.
And your insurance was fine with for your insurance. Sometimes that's the issue. The doctor's not the
I
issue, the
know.
insurance.
I haven't gone and picked it up yet.
Oh,
I have 3 days. They're 24 hours.
yeah. We're good.
It was raining the other day. I didn't want to go. You saw that rain. I didn't want to be
Yes.
out in it.
Good tips on that because that is important, right? I mean,
Mhm.
even I cut myself and I was like walking around the pharmacy in Munich and I was like, do you have like antiseptic cream? Like I couldn't figure out what, and it was just in a different I don't think they had like the gel, like a Neosporin gel. Like they
Mm-hmm.
had like a liquidy kind of thing, which was like,
Mm,
whatever,
mm-hmm.
that's fine. Just I need something. I got myself on a random rusty railing and in Germany, and I'm like, no, we
Too
probably
many
should.
beers.
It was the day of Oktoberfest. Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that I will say, the one thing about if something happens and you have to go to a pharmacy is that sometimes you discover really interesting things that like don't exist here. So like I ended up with COVID when we were in Greece 2 years ago, and I didn't know I had COVID at the time, but I had a sore throat and I was like, what can I do? Like, how can I deal with this sore throat? And so I went into a pharmacy and told them I had a sore throat, and they gave me this spray that's like kind of chloroseptic ish, like what we think, like, I hate chloroseptic spray so much, but this stuff doesn't taste awful like that stuff does. But it's like European pharmacies really like natural remedies as an option. Like they usually have their pharmacy divided into like medication and like homeopathic, which is really cool. So like I've gotten like herbal cough drops before that I really liked, and I've had to buy sunscreen at the pharmacy before, and European sunscreen's so much better.
Well, I'm sure you'll get sick and update us when you get back.
I'm sure. And then we can have a whole episode about what to do when you're sick on vacation.
So, how many bags are you taking?
So we're each taking a backpack, like a pretty good sized backpack. I am taking a carry on piece of luggage that is just like a hard sided from Target rolling bag. And then we have a big Travel Pro brand checked bag. And then we'll have the fold up duffel if we need it. And then we've got our little backpack that's going to be packed inside of things that, like, worst case, if we need to, that could be a second carry on for one of us coming back. So going, we have two backpacks and two pieces of luggage. Coming back, it could be more. We'll
You could
see.
have six things all together instead of four.
Hmm. Yeah.
All
The good
right.
news is Brian doesn't have to carry the checked bag too many. Like we have two trains that we're taking. So it shouldn't be awful for him to move them around. We'll see.
And you're flying on American.
On the way there, we're flying American. On the way back, we're flying French B.
You're mindful as you're packing about like luggage and cost of checked bags and everything. International
Yeah.
travel. What are you going to have to pay?
International travel, you get free checked bags.
Not unlimited.
No, no. I think it's your first one or two, which for us is fine.
Right.
And then for French B, you pay like French B. I don't want to compare it to Spirit and Frontier, but it's a budget airline, like international airline. So they are very much like you get what you pay for sort of a thing. So we actually have paid for the like highest level that they have, which then includes our checked bags and like picking a seat, and we get a meal, and it was still way cheaper than flying American back.
And the weight of your bag can matter.
Yes, we actually we have like an at home.
Luggage scale.
Yeah, it is come in very handy because your girl can be just over the weight limit sometimes.
So what I do is I step on the scale and then I pick up my bag and then I subtract my weight from it. Um, yeah, I need one of them.
It was, I don't remember where we got it, but it's easy, it's cheap.
Well, your boy likes to fly first class and have higher weight limits. So
A
bougie,
bougie
bougie
bitch.
AF, bougie AF. Uh,
Yeah, I couldn't afford first class on this trip.
yeah,
It's
that's
fine.
what maxing out credit cards are for. I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
Spend
God,
responsibly, everyone. I feel like we need to add a little asterisk there. If you
yeah,
think you have a problem, please reach out to someone.
yeah.
It's
There's
not us. Don't reach out to
yeah.
us.
Don't reach out to us. We'll tell you. Just take the trip. Life's too short.
I will say so. One thing I'm very excited about, I have a Zippo brand rechargeable hand warmer.
Oh,
This thing is so great. And it's also technically a battery pack. So you can plug your phone into it if you need to.
for
And it has like different
purpose.
heat settings. It's amazing.
That's a good. That's a good find.
I know. Yeah. I got it at REI. I only have one, yeah.
So you just like rotate it back and forth between your hands.
Yeah. Cause it gets really hot. Like the highest setting is like very hot. So I just put it in my pocket and then I'll like swap to the other pocket and back and forth. Yeah. I
Yeah,
also made sure I have wool socks. I am the kind of person who my feet are always cold. And last night I wore my smart wool socks and my Brooks to go to the market. And I was fine. My feet weren't cold at all. So
that's
wool
helpful
socks really
because your
work.
Brooks probably have some mesh in them, so you're going to need
Hmm.
the wool socks.
Yeah. Yeah. I am a little concerned about rain
I was just
while
going.
we're there.
It was my next question. What happens when it rains or if it starts being snowy?
Yeah. So if it snows, we should be fine because we're in like the clothes we're taking should be snow appropriate. But I intentionally am packing one pair of shoes that are leather and one pair, and then my Brooks. So if the Brooks get soaked, I have a more waterproof pair of shoes. But I'm not taking a raincoat with me. I still have a poncho from our VIP tour that I didn't use. So
Yeah,
I am going to take that with me because that's like a $20 poncho that I could easily use if needed.
yeah.
But that's my plan for if it rains.
On the river cruise, if it rains, they do have umbrellas for you.
I'm not about to be the person at the market with an umbrella. People will be so mad. Have you seen videos of like how packed these markets get?
Yeah, yeah.
I'm a little stressed about it. The last thing I want to do is bring an umbrella into that situation.
No, I guess not, because you're going to be on sensory alert.
Hmm. Yeah.
Oh boy, boy.
It should be a good time though. I'm very much looking forward to this trip. I'm like I have my packing list open on my computer and I'm like, what things do I want to make sure? One thing that I'm really proud of myself today that I thought to grab was our wine key and a bottle stopper. But make sure the wine key goes in your checked bag because we had to throw out a wine key that we had in our carry-on because it's considered a knife.
Right. Yeah. Don't.
Even though you're like, what? And even TSA is like, I know. They're like, we also, or you can get a TSA approved one. So, like, if you are a carry on only person, for us, it was the last time we went to Europe and we were carry on only people for that trip because it was warmer weather and we could do that. And we went through TSA and they were like, no, you can't take this. And so we tossed it and we had to get a new one. But they do make TSA approved ones. However, if you think you're going to be drinking wine, do not rely on wherever you're staying to have something to open it because at Disney, we would provide, like, if someone asked for a wine key, we would give them one, but it was plastic and it was awful. Like, it did not work very well. So I would much rather I have a Houdini brand one. I would much rather take that with me, put it in my checked bag. If I don't use it, that's fine. But I'd rather have it. I mean, I'm going to be in like a great wine region
Yep.
for almost the entire trip. So I'd much rather have it and not use it than not have it and be kicking myself because I bought a bottle of wine that I want to drink and I can't.
So we talked about your comfort, your health,
Hmm. Hmm.
your the elements,
Hmm.
prepping. What else? What else you got on your list?
I'm like looking. So my like things for being on the plane. So I have
Ooh,
a travel pillow. I've got my iPad that I'm going to make sure I have a bunch of stuff downloaded onto because I would much rather use my AirPods than have to try to connect to a device on the plane. I've got, I'm like looking, my Switch, my Nintendo Switch, so that I can play some games in case I can't sleep. Um, yeah, I think other weird things on my packing list, a flashlight. You never know when you're going to end up in like a place that the look on your face as I said a
because
flashlight.
your phone has one.
Right, but it's not usually that bright. And so we have like a not heavy duty, but like a little flashlight that is a very bright light so that if we're like down a dark street at night, especially wintertime, right? Like it's getting dark very early.
True.
So that was Brian's. Shout out, Brian. Okay, other things on my list, a clothesline. that just like rolls up into a little tiny bag because you never know when you're going to need to hang stuff to dry. An e-reader.
Clothespins, because you can hang more things
Yes.
online, even if you have a
Mm-hmm.
line in your
Mm-hmm.
hotel room or what have you.
I also I keep spares of electronic cords already packed too. So that's another thing that like I don't have to worry about when I'm traveling. I sleep with a silk pillowcase, and so I take one with me, and now I can't sleep on other people's pillowcases. Like when I I went and stayed the night at Chris's house a couple weeks ago, I brought my own pillow with me. I'm not bringing the pillow with me. I'm only bringing the pillowcase because I want to make sure I have enough room. And I'm like, I'll be fine. It'll be fine. But I have a hard time now sleeping on not my own pillowcase.
The issues are deep.
I know they really are.
So all of those, you know what? I have a solution to the plane.
What's that?
You book a lay flat.
I've done it before. Here's the thing. I've I've flown Delta One before. I still couldn't sleep.
No, I know. I was going to take like a Tylenol PM, but I didn't. I did sleep for like 2 hours, but it's not enough, and
Hmm.
it's not great.
So our plan is we land at like 8 a.m. in Zurich. We leave here at like 7 p.m. My plan is that we're going to drop off all of our stuff. And because we're flying economy, we're going to be super uncomfortable. So I am planning on having us go to a spa for the day since we can't
That's
check
great.
into our hotel. And then we have like a dinner reservation at like 6. So then at that point, it'll be safe if we're like exhausted and want to go to bed, we can. But I figure that'll be the like recouping economy is the spa day.
That works, and it's cheaper than buying the first class ticket.
So much cheaper. Yeah.
All right, so you got all your stuff on your plane. You got all of your videos downloaded. You got your meds, your money,
Mm-hmm.
your euros, your clothes for
Mm-hmm.
warm, cold.
That's okay. This is actually one more thing. You said money, and this is one thing that I want to just remind everyone, and that is take a picture of your passport. And don't, when I say take a picture of your passport, I mean open up to the page with your picture on it and take a picture of that. I don't mean just the outside of it.
Yep.
Also, take a picture. I If you have access to a printer or like a scanner or anything like that, print out a picture of your passport and also your credit cards. Otherwise, at least like make sure you have cards on your Apple Pay or Google Wallet, whatever device you're using, because they are pretty generally accepted. But in case you have cards that are compromised or your bank has you locked out because you need to set a travel reminder for your bank, your bank doesn't know that you're going somewhere and you're suddenly in a different country and trying to use your card, they're going to decline you and flag it as fraud. And you don't want to be in a new country because I'm going to take some US dollars with me. I don't have, other than the handful of euros that I have that are like change, I will be getting out cash when I get there. Also, I'm going to be starting in Switzerland. So I need Swiss francs and not euros until I start my river cruise. So I'm going to be taking out cash. Do not get out cash at the airport unless you absolutely have to. Go to an ATM that is attached to a bank or has a big bank name on it that like you aren't going to know the bank more than likely. If you bank with like Chase or Wells Fargo or one of them, they usually have like partner banks internationally and like you can pull up a list, but don't use the like corner store ATM
Right.
and let them do do not hit that you want to take it out in USD. You want to take it out in the local currency and let your bank do the transaction of the exchange. Do not have them do the exchange for you on the ATM because you're going to end up paying so much extra money. Also, if you have a credit card that doesn't have a foreign transaction fee, make sure that's the card you take with you. A lot of major cards have a foreign transaction fee. My little credit union back home doesn't have a foreign transaction fee. I also can instantly move my money from my checking account to my credit card with that little credit union, which is not usually the case with bigger banks. So ACU's getting all my money because I know that I can use my cards without issue. I also know that I can like call my friends there or like text them and be like, help, my card's blocked, like fix it for me. So
So I have my credit cards attached to is a travel credit card. So I get an email like a few days before. It's like we know you're traveling, so I don't have to call them
that's
necessarily. But when
cool.
I was
Yeah.
doing Europe, I still did call, and what they gave me was a 4-digit code because they said if this it shouldn't be declined, but if it is flagged for fraud, they're going to ask for a code, and so you don't have to call us. You just enter this code, and you give the code to the vendor, and they can enter it.
Interesting. Was
Yeah,
that your
it was
American Airlines card?
American Airlines card. Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
So
That's
that was
cool.
interesting. I didn't have to use it, but
Yeah. But also like if you have a credit card that you don't use that like is sitting empty and is like for emergencies, bring it with you because
backups are
I've
good.
I've had emergencies happen in another country and like when you need to have funds readily available, you need to have funds readily available. And when you're 6 to 12 hours ahead of back home, it's good to have fail safes. It's better to be over prepared and not need it than to not have something and be screwed.
And that brings us to the last thing you're packing, which is the emergency line number for your travel insurance.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. I have an annual plan, which is great. So I have basically every trip that I take for it's not a calendar year, it's whatever date you start. So in my case, I just renewed it. So it's starting in a couple of days through next December. And if I need anything, I just call them and they can help me. If I need to file a claim, I'm going to keep all of my receipts, make sure I have everything I need. Also, make sure that if you have tickets that you've pre-purchased, like say you're going to a specific museum, things like that, make sure you have those downloaded onto your device or printed out so that you have them easily accessible because you never know what the reception is going to be like or internet. And also, and one other thing, if you, I know what you did and I told you not to do it, but that is your phone service. A lot of people just take, if you're listening at home, Chris just rolled his eyes because he knows exactly what I'm about to say now. A lot of people will just opt in to whatever package their provider has. So, like, I have Verizon, it's $10 per day if I want to use Verizon internationally, and I'm capped at how much data I have. I don't want to do that. That's stupid. And I hate that. And it's so expensive. So I personally will be using Airalo. There are lots of different eSIM companies. If you have an unlocked phone, you can use an eSIM and it's $30 for 10 gigs of data, I believe, for 30 days. And you can just top that up if you need to. So
Right.
if you need to make phone calls, it's not like for me, I just need iMessages and WhatsApp and to be able to like look at Google Maps. But if you like need to be able to make actual phone calls or you need to be able to send SMS and not iMessages, then yeah, you're probably going to want to figure out a different solution. But if all you need is
Data.
internet, yeah, then do an eSIM.
Yeah. So I mean, even if you had to pay $160 because you did need phone, it's a lot, but it's not terrible to have access to all the things you need and people connection to people you need for your
Yeah.
16-day extravaganza. Well, it
Yeah.
sounds fun. I'm jealous. I want to go. Can I come?
Yeah. No.
Okay.
But when we come back, you and I are going to talk all about how the trip went. We're going to do an episode about all the ridiculous amount of money I spent. I can't wait.
And while you're gone, I'm going to be sailing the Caribbean.
Yeah. So we have a lot to talk about when we get
We
back.
do. We do. So let's just
Yeah.
go.